Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre. For today's video I picked 3 great stories from the subreddit entitled Parents. Now these stories are so good that I just couldn't pick which one was the main story. So maybe you guys can tell me in the comment section which one you liked the best. Anyways, let's get started with the first story. This one is from user xSavageXSaviourX. So a bit of background. This story happened when I was about 14-15 years old. Me and my dad had recently met and started to bond. My grandparents had custody of me and allowed me to go to my dad's house literally any time I wanted so that I could have a real parent in my life. My mother wasn't happy about this because, well, she's my mom. She wasn't happy with any positive relationship I had with anyone, especially if I wasn't jumping through hoops to make her happy. During this time, my grandparents planned a vacation to Las Vegas. They gave me full permission to go stay at my dad's house for 2 weeks, and they hired a sitter for my younger siblings and their home. So it starts off as any regular day at my dad's house. My stepsister and I get up, do some chores around the house, play fight with the wet wash rags after washing dishes, the normal teenage life. My stepmom wakes up and makes breakfast while we play with our baby sister. My dad is sleeping because it happens to be a weekend and he doesn't work weekends unless he gets called in. Well, if I didn't have such crappy cell service, I would have been able to warn all of them of the storm approaching. But I had no service at my dad's house, so I didn't receive any of the calls from my mom or my grandparents. And so, randomly, we hear a truck pull up in the front yard. It's my mom's black truck. My stepmom asks, "Is that your mom?" And I shrug and say, I guess so. So my stepmom decides to go wake up my dad. A few minutes later, my dad is at the front door and he's talking to my mom. My mom goes, "Tell my daughter to pack her crap and come on." And my dad says, "No, we have permission for her to stay here while her grandparents are in Vegas. She's not going anywhere unless she wants to." My stepmom whispers to me and asks if I want to go with my mom and tells me it's okay if I do, that they won't be angry with me. And I say no, that I'd really like to stay. I really wanted to spend more time with them so when school starts I could stay there more on school days. She says that it's perfectly fine with them, they're always happy to have me, and as long as I want to be there, they won't let anything happen to me. By this time, you can hear my mom going off. "She's my daughter! I will call the police if you don't bring her out here right now!" My dad says, "I'll go talk to her. Stay here," and slams the door in her face. My dad asks me if I want to go back with my mom, and my stepmom tells him I'd like to stay with them. So my dad says to me, "You don't have to go anywhere. Do you want to tell her yourself that you want to stay?" I asked if he could do it. I didn't really want her to yell at me. She had a way of making me feel bad every time I tried to talk to her. So my dad says, "Of course, maybe it's best if everyone goes to the back rooms." We all start moving towards the back of the house. All we can hear now is screaming. "Where is that effing brat? Come out here right now!" Calls me by my middle name. "You aren't staying here!" My dad goes, "Get off my property. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police." At this point, my stepmom and stepsister hide me in the closet and give me a baseball bat. "You can't keep her from me. She's my daughter. She has to come with me." All we hear after this is the sound of glass being smashed, something sounding like metal against metal, and then her truck driving off. Eventually, we all go outside to see. All of the cars have their windows smashed in and the paint and sides are scraped up pretty bad. My dad, bless him, didn't call the cops. Not sure why. He did call my grandparents though, and they explained they had tried to contact me to give me a heads up that my mom would be on her way over. Apparently, when they told her they gave me permission to stay with my dad while they were on vacation, she lost her mind. Everything was fine after that. We laughed it off and pretty much told stories of how crazy my mom has been. Even before I was born, my dad said he wouldn't talk badly of her because he didn't believe in that. but said this was the second time she smashed his windows on his truck. He also told me that he doesn't hold any resentment towards her now, but she made his life hell after I was born. The stories my stepmom told were pretty funny too. My mom was so crazy, she didn't let them anywhere near me, so they'd have to get in contact with my aunts to find out when and where my sports tournaments were or my concerts. Then they showed me videos of my games and concerts to show me that they had always been there for me, even if I didn't know they existed. My mom had told me at a young age that my dad died, so I had no idea I even had a dad until I was in middle school. Besides my mom going crazy, it was a really nice day. I've been grateful for them. My dad passed away a few months after I turned 18, so he's been dead for a few years. I've never forgiven my mom for the time I missed out on with him. Wow, that's a really crazy story with a somewhat bittersweet twist at the end. I thought it was fantastic that the dad and the stepmom just, figured out where OP was to be able to go see her, even if they just weren't allowed to be close to her because the mom was so crazy. And they took videos of all those moments. That's so cool. That's the sweet part. The crazy part, we know, the mom is the crazy part. The bitter part is the fact that she just missed out on a lot of time with her dad and then he died when she was just 18. I hope OP was able to make really good memories with the time she had with her dad and keeps him close to her heart. Alright, and now let's move on to the second story. This one is from user The Sixth Mambo. Backstory. I am a soon-to-be 26-year-old guy and I got adopted when I was 8. My adopted parents later had children of their own. They're 14 now, twins, boy and a girl. Hence the big age gap. Our parents both are ER surgeons and have always worked their butts off so my siblings and I can have the best life they can give us. They are doing their utmost not to have long shifts at the same time, but since hospitals here are understaffed, they often do have to work overlapping shifts. They have put faith in me helping them out whenever I can, considering the age difference I have with my siblings. This means, among other things, that I am one of the emergency contacts their school calls whenever there is trouble. One day, I am studying at my flat and I get a call around noon. It's one of the school's secretaries who informs me that I need to come as soon as possible to pick up my little sister. They won't give me any more information except from the fact that she is unharmed. Okay, so I hop in my car, drive to the school, and arrive about 20 minutes later. As I enter the main building and informed that I have arrived, I'm asked to join some people at the principal's office. Before I enter the glass door, I can see my sister sitting in a chair, sobbing. Sitting in two other seats are two visibly angry adults and a boy about her age. I recognize the kid immediately. It's the boy that has been bullying and harassing her for months. When I say harassing, I don't mean giving her a shove every now and then. No, I mean grabbing her chest, slapping or squeezing her buttocks, and putting his hand between her legs. Both our parents and myself have addressed this multiple times to the principal and several teachers. Nothing changed. However, and since I was seeing my sister becoming afraid and reluctant to go to school, I asked my girlfriend, 24, and her sister, 22, for help. You see, they have been practicing karate for several years now. They know how to defend themselves and I was sick and tired of the school doing jack-ass. So I asked them to give my sister some self-defense lessons and volunteered myself as a training dummy / sparring partner. And my sister is good, y'all. The three of us also had a chat with her about when and how to use her newly found skill so she wouldn't use it just because. I enter the principal's office and before the principal offers me a seat, the boy's father scoffs and says something amongst the line of, "We've been waiting here for hours just for another kid to show up." I ignore his remark and take a seat next to my sister and start to console her. I ask the principal what's the meaning of this. He informs me that my little sister is being suspended until the end of next week and will have detention every Wednesday for the remainder of the semester for punching another student. Without giving me any time to react, the boy's mother bursts out, "Punching? Punching?" She committed senseless violence against my son. The necklace father of the boy didn't say anything, but nodded in approval of the nonsense his wife just uttered. Staring at them for a while, I turn to my sister and ask her if this is the boy she's been talking about. She nods. Addressing the principal, I tell him that both our parents and I have contacted the school about the boy's behavior towards my sister, how she's been groped and harassed for months, and about how she has been afraid to come to school. The boy starts fake crying, and before the principal can draw breath so he can react, the father leaps up. "How dare you! My son would never do such a thing! Your sister attacked him! I demand she is expelled from this school right this instant!" Trying to ignore the fact that I should have brought an umbrella against the gallons of spit that this man's mouth spew forth, I inform him that several complaints have been made against his son's behavior. Now, turning to the principal, I tell him that I am appalled by the fact nothing has changed, and this, together with a lack of interest in his students' well-being, has left us with no other choice than to teach my sister how to defend herself. Before the father can once again make me regret not bringing the aforementioned umbrella, I add that my sister would never attack anyone without her having a reason for it. The mother, ignoring pretty much everything I said, reminds us that her son would never do such a thing, and that my sister is probably asking for it in the first place. You know, because a shy 13-year-old girl just loves being the center of attention and likes getting grabbed all over her body. I'm starting to realize that as soon as I entered the principal's office, I was never going to win the argument. The principal is sitting spinelessly in his chair, observing the spectacle that is unfolding in front of him. The fat, smug-faced little brat boy is watching my sister, who is still sobbing, with a big grin on his face. The father is breathing like an out-of-shape rhinoceros ready to attack anything that moves. The mother is caressing her son's head while making rude remarks about my sister and the fact that we must have the worst parents for not being present. I stand up and quietly tell my sister to grab her bag. The boy's father asks me where am I going, and I answer that I am taking my sister home. His face gets red, shouting, "We're not done here!" I inform him that, in fact, we are done. I tell him that I will no longer tolerate my sister going to a school that allows a delinquent in the making to do whatever he pleases. I add that any more communication will be through our lawyer, which happens to be her godfather, but that they will probably hear from him first. As for the fallout, my parents were already planning on pulling my sister from that school and having her go to another. Of course, only they knew about it, but I wasn't about to say that. They were quite shocked I took the executive decision of pulling her out of that school, but 100% have my back. Of course, as her parents, they formally took the necessary steps. As for the school and the little boy, charges have been filed against the school for negligence by our lawyer, little sister's godfather. The opening session took place about a year ago. Unfortunately, we live in a country where courts are drowning in work. The actual debate will only take place in a few months. Though it will still be a while before we have a definitive outcome, considering the school is likely to appeal. We have a pretty decent case. Our lawyer is convinced that the school will have to pay substantial damages. Although the principal is protected by the school, there is a good chance that he will have to resign, which I have just learned isn't yet the case. Nothing can legally be done against the boy, although we have asked for a psychiatric evaluation. Most likely, his parents aren't going to take him to see anyone, so I'm guessing that'll be in vain. And this is the reason why as soon as I can motivate my daughter to take up some sort of martial art, I'll take her and gladly be there for every single lesson. Whatever she wants, karate, kung fu, full contact, taekwondo, Thai fighting, whatever, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Anything that can teach her how to defend herself from a-holes and, stay safe, that's all I want. There's so much more I'd like to say about the spineless principal and those idiotic parents who just think their little boy can do no harm and the kid is a sick brat. But I'm gonna keep it short so that we can move on to the next story. This one is from user BludgeonerV, entitled Mom is my flatmate's sister. She stopped by to pick up some things their parents had left here and brought her 5-year-old with her. There was fried chicken resting on the countertop that I was preparing for lunch, and without thinking, asking anyone if she could have any, she took a piece and fed it to her child. This was a huge effing mistake. I'm a pepperhead, and this batch of fried chicken was designed to be a struggle for me. The marinade had ghost pepper sauce in it. The flour and breadcrumbs were loaded with cayenne pepper and chili powder, and the oil sauce was made with more of the ghost pepper sauce. Absolutely freaking madness. I'm upstairs trying to avoid this mom. She'd be unpleasant company even when comatose. When I hear all hell break loose down below. The kid in absolute agony crying at the top of her lungs, and the mom screaming her head off. I pop down to see what the hell is going on. Flatmate is trying to relieve the kid with ice cubes and milk when entitled mom is letting loose about how we hurt her baby. I ask what happened, and the mom says the kid climbed up and got the chicken and starts berating us about how dangerous it was to leave spicy food around small kids. Flatmate calls her BS and says there is no way the kid got up there. Chicken was all the way at the back. After denying it, she eventually slips and says something like, "How was I supposed to know?" We press her on why she thought she could just go and take food that didn't belong to her and give it to her kid. She's got no idea what's in it, etc. And she starts into some hysteric, crying, screaming routine, calling Flatmate irresponsible, accusing us of child abuse. We've ruined her day when she just wanted to see her brother. People are going to think she hits her kid. Wouldn't surprise me. She was doing us a favor picking up the stuff her parents left. She wasn't, it was her old stuff. And then proceeds to throw the box against the wall. By this point, she's so out of control, she's actually got snot coming out of her nose. She takes the ice and milk of the kid, who is still in complete agony, and storms off to her car, dragging the poor kid along with her. Was an interesting afternoon. 5 out of 7 chicken though. What an obnoxious woman. I mean, aside the fact that she took food that didn't belong to her to give it to her kid, and when something bad happens like, wow, the food was spicy, she goes on this crazy rant and puts this weird show. It's a good thing she left them so OP could enjoy his spicy chicken. 5 out of 7, that's not so bad. I do feel bad for the kid though, that must have hurt. And we've reached the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Please tell me which of the 3 stories was your favorite one, because I couldn't decide. I thought they were all great and really showed us some crazy entitled people and one funny situation. So if you liked it, go ahead and click like. And if you still haven't subscribed, then do it. It's right there. Just click subscribe. Alright, having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.